to your left. We don't want to hit Albuquerque.
We got it. We got it. Easy.
Okay. So our podcast / time machine just crashed somewhere. We hope it's our home planet. We hope it's our home reality. But this shit is kind of fucked up. It's really hard to tell sometimes.
Definitely looks like our room.
Definitely does, yeah. So luckily for us, in a case of emergency, we have emergency drinking beer, all-purpose blend from Avondale Estates, Georgia. Once again, not sponsored.
Very generic can.
Very generic can. You know, like an MRE?
Yeah.
This is like a BRD.
BRD.
Beer ready to drink. That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's not great, but it's not bad.
It's definitely emergency drinking beer.
It is.
You know, it'd be really cool if the gimmick with this was that it would keep a really long time.
It would be.
That would be really, really swell. I would imagine most beers, I mean, definitely most alcohol keeps really well if you...
Liquor especially. I don't know about beer.
Wine, too.
Wine. Yeah, definitely.
But there's probably a lot more intricacies with storing wine than there is beer. I mean, liquor.
I think a
Maybe.
constant temperature, a certain temperature and darkness
Yeah.
would be what you would want.
Well, that's why you have, like, wine cellars.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a wine attic. So what have you been thinking about, man?
But this week, I don't know. I'm kind of excited for the Enslaved concert. I know it's not till April, but
Yeah, I am going to that, too. Holy shit.
yeah.
Insomnium, Enslaved. A couple of really great bands. Cannot wait for Enslaved, though.
Yeah, me either. I hope they do the songs I want them to do.
Yeah. I want them to do Ethica Odini.
Yeah.
I like that song a lot.
Yeah.
Anything off of Ritter, and I
Yeah.
would be very pleased. Monumention, definitely. If they
Monumention.
play voices, I would love that.
I wonder if they'll do, was it Journey to the Outer Worlds or
Caravan
to the Outer Worlds?
yeah.
They'll do something off of that.
Yeah, they better, dude.
Yeah.
That's some really great tracks off
Yeah,
there.
really great.
Yeah, we've been talking a bit on doing this. We started a couple weeks ago recording this episode, which we want to do in the future, considering how we just got back from the future. We recorded some, and then I was kind of sick last week. I had a bunch of weird like allergy shit going on. My voice wasn't really all there for a podcast. And now here we are, and we're just taking it from the top again. Also because I had the really great idea for that intro. And I was like, I'm getting the emergency drinking beer for this. That'd be really cool. That might have sounded like a sponsorship, but it wasn't. It was just some good advertising. If emergency drinking beer wants to sponsor us, though, hey.
You said a couple weeks ago, but I think we should let our audience know. Technically, we were in the year 2340, but in our relative time, it was a couple weeks ago.
We really decided 2340 in 2335. Alien astronauts. Because we're practically immortal in there. We actually got to meet our future selves. We're like part machine and stuff, got to keep us alive for all that. But we pretty much rule the planet there, and so we wanted to go ask our future selves exactly what we need to do to achieve world domination, and so we're doing that.
Well, we couldn't do it without the help of the Borg.
We could not have done it without the help of the Borg.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Borg.
Shout
You
out
don't
to
know
the
what we're
Borg.
talking about yet, but when you do, the Borg rocks.
Or if you watch much Star Trek, you probably do know what we're talking about.
Oh, is that Star Trek?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Spock, Commander Keen. Wait, no, Captain Kirk. So I've been listening to a little bit of the Coast to Coast podcast today. Now I understand
me too.
Coast to Coast.
The vault stuff.
Yeah, the Art Bell vaults, and it's just really great. I've been listening to it at work, in my own free time, just listening to it while doing some shit, and it absolutely rocks. It's really got me almost rediscovering a passion for broadcasting and the radio. It's just really awesome. Like Art would do his stuff out of a bunker in the middle of the desert.
He had a
right?
compound. He had
a compound.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
shit, like Waco. Yeah, it really rocks. It's really got me just interested in even more in that whole rabbit hole of just high strangeness. I'm practically breathing it right now. I got high strangeness in my veins.
You kind of smell it right now. There's a little bit of high
There's a
strange.
little bit of a musk down
Yeah.
here. I think we picked up something from
What's
that mega virus
interest-
in 2120.
It's interesting for me listening to it because I listened to a lot of these episodes when they first aired, like listening to them live. So it's cool to listen to them and I'm like, yeah, I remember this episode and this interview. Yeah. Even sometimes you'll remember certain callers, like, I remember when this guy called in.
I remember this dumb piece of shit.
Yeah, Art's really good. He has a great voice and a great
demeanor for it.
He has a good presence. Yeah. He has a good presence. His personality really comes through his voice. He's one of those guys like Tobias Forge. You kind of feel like he's your friend.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of feel like you know this guy. He has a...
Well, definitely, like, you've noticed probably a lot of the callers that I've heard have been truckers.
Yeah.
And a couple people even called in and been like, Art, you're practically the only company I got at this time of the day. Just driving around listening to you. I'd love to call. I'm at a rest stop right now. I think that's just a really beautiful thing. I think that's just a really awesome thing about broadcast, especially live broadcast.
I got introduced to Coast by some truck drivers, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
So what was that like finding it? Was it FM?
Yes, I did listen on FM for quite a while. There was a local radio station that was a talk radio station, and they had Coast to Coast on, in the whatever time frame, late at night. It came on every night, and for a long time, he would have other people do the weekends. George Norrie and George Knapp. George Norrie did the weekends for a long time, and then when Art left the show, George took over, the bulk of the show, and George Knapp picked up the weekends.
Yeah, now they currently do the Weaponized podcast.
George Knapp?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does the other guy do it too?
Knapp and, Jeremy Corbell.
I still need to listen to that. I know you've been talking about it a lot. I think that's really cool. Anything to do with aliens, which this is not another aliens episode, of course.
But we are alien astronauts, so it's going to come up quite often.
What are you going to do about it? We're alien astronauts, yeah. So we actually got a comment on Aliens Part 2 from Imperion Blackthorn wondering if we would be doing asking if we could do a show on alien gods in the sense of like ancient religion and stuff. I think that's really cool, but we did so much alien talk that we're just gonna do something else but we are gonna get back to that. We definitely are, because we said we would. Once again, I'll go ahead and plug this. If you as a listener have any topics you want us to cover, just let us know and we will. Unless it's something lame. Lawnmowers.
Or 70s TV shows.
70s TV shows, stuff like that. Yeah, it's like, damn, dude. I don't know how well we could tie in like Sanford and Sons with alien astronauts.
Yeah.
Was that 70s?
Yeah. Sanford and Sons was 70s.
That's
probably
ballpark,
late 70s, yeah.
Hey, the mutt.
Let's not even get into TV shows in the 70s.
Yeah, we did just say that was a lame thing.
That was a lame thing to talk about, so we're really not even going
steered
there.
Clear of that little pitfall there. And we're just chugging along. So, and coming right up over the horizon, in both life and in the metaphor that we were just talking about, is the future. There's nothing you can do about it. It's coming. It's going to come for us all.
It's coming for you.
It's coming for you. It's always coming for you. So there are a lot of styles of the future.
We like to talk about media to give people, like, to get gears turning in people's minds. There's so many films based in the future. Almost any sci-fi you can think of is based in the future.
It's pretty hard to have sci-fi and have it not based in the future.
No. Like, look at Star Wars. That was a long time ago, man.
That's kind of low-hanging fruit.
Is it?
Not for sci-fi, but talking about sci-fi.
See, I used to ponder that perhaps Indiana Jones was a reincarnation of Han Solo.
Holy shit!
Yeah, and as a kid, that used to blow my mind. I was like, wow.
That's a great foreshadowing when in the upcoming Indiana Jones, the Force ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi pops up. And Indiana Jones says, "What the fuck?" No, but wouldn't it be cool if there was like a hard sci-fi set in the fucking Cold War?
Yeah.
That's actually a really cool thing.
There are things like that. I mean, technically, you could say, a really loose way of looking at that. Like, steampunk is a little sci-fi,
Oh, yeah.
you know, like
That's
set
a
in the
good point,
past,
yeah.
you know, yeah.
I think diesel punk too, maybe. I think there is a difference in steam and diesel punk. My favorite type isn't necessarily the one I want, but it's really cool. It's just cassette futurism. I think is one of the names it can go by. People call it a bunch of different things, retrofuturism, but it's really just what the year 1980 thought the year 2000 would look like. Big boxy flying cars, white computers that look like the Macintosh.
Look like an iMac.
Yeah, look like an iMac. Cassette tapes.
Look like an iMac, but still with the monochrome
Yeah,
display.
the color palette
yeah,
that slightly off-white, maybe yellow type of thing.
yeah, or the black with green.
Yeah, like Matrixy looking
Yeah.
stuff, like Johnny Mnemonic, Blade Runner. I really like that.
I think my favorite as far as genre, and you know, until recently, I kind of saw that's the future we're going to, and I still see that as a potential future, as a cyberpunk future.
Oh yeah,
Like you
I would
know,
say,
the
honestly-
integration of machine and man further and further, and the rise of the global corporate powers. We're already seeing that,
Exactly.
you know, like
yeah, that's a
yeah.
huge staple in cyberpunk. Just as much as implants and stuff are, is mega corporations, corrupt, greedy ass.
if you think about it, you know, corporations already, like, who has more power, Microsoft or the U.S. government?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
definitely.
mean, if you're talking about military might, well, the U.S. government. But if you're talking
about
about
leverage.
talking about leverage and potential control, Microsoft. You know, it's corporations are already in control of a vast pool of power.
That's like a lot of that real new age, or at least new age for the time, computer science came out of a couple of kids in their basement microdosing, sometimes megadosing.
I don't think they were micro. I mean, I think
and just coding, and now what that has evolved into is like, wow.
I have to say, for me, you know, me who has personally experimented with psychedelics, you know, I remember having experiences to where there's so many revelations that come to you and so many ways of seeing things out of the box. I used to think, wow, why did this stuff not just completely change the world when it was big, like back in the 60s? You know, what happened? And then years later, you know, only in the past decade have we found out that LSD was involved with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
and you realize,
Wozniak
wow,
probably, yeah.
psychedelics did impact the world. It's the digital age, I think, was I think a catalyst that made it come about quicker.
I think it's really cool. There's a lot of ties between, I don't want to say a conspiracy, but definitely a certain way of thinking that psychedelics, because they are mostly derived of fungi, things like that they drive you towards being a more like nature, peace, love, happy type of person, which it definitely does. But I mean, there's a very big difference in the people dropping acid in the 50s and 60s and being all hippie and stuff, drop out, turn on, tune in, all that, and the people who built the modern world of computing. There's a very big difference, yet the same tools, really. It's cool. It's like maybe that peace, love, nature isn't just the goal. Maybe that's just part of the goal.
Or
if
maybe
you subscribe to
I
that.
think different people use tools in different ways. You know what I mean? You have the people that use a knife for cutting, specifically, you know, for whatever. You know, it could be used as
And you have people that use the knife for
survival,
throwing at the circus.
survival, or it could be for acts of violence. And you have people who use the knife to carve, or carving pieces of art out of wood, or what. You know, there's so many. So it's the same with psychedelics, I think. You know.
Yeah, that's a really cool way of looking at that. So I wonder when the next big thing like that's going to happen. I think now at the moment, our government is the most lenient on psychedelics than it has been since the 60s.
The establishment got scared in the 60s. I really think, and so they came down hard.
I think it definitely did. Yeah.
And Timothy Leary had a bit to do with that.
And a
I'm
lot of
just
people
saying.
do blame Timothy Leary
A lot of people
for a lot
do.
of shit. And maybe some of that blame of the current illegality of it does kind of fall in his ballpark of like stuff that he vouched for. But a lot of people think he was like a CIA plant. And I just kind of
but
don't buy that.
someone sent me this video of him at this gathering, and he actually said something about working with the CIA, and it was kind of for a laugh, like he was kind of being, but people took that and ran with it. I think Timothy Leary had a lot of great stuff to say, and if he would have kept his mouth shut, the society's perception of psychedelics might not have been quite so extreme to start with if Leary would have just played it low key, but he didn't, and I think there's a good chance that that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, if he would have kept a little bit quiet about it, we would have been living in the Jetson future already. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is I think the man had a lot of important stuff to say, and I think when psychedelics as they become more mainstream for the next generation, I think about 100 years after Timothy Leary said what he said and wrote what he wrote, people are going to pick this up and be like, wow, this guy was like Plato, of that era. But he had to have his voice to get this stuff out there. Otherwise, we never would have heard it.
Because 100 years from now, people are going to pick up those old Omni magazines and go, holy shit, dude. A lot of really hard sci-fi and stuff definitely comes from some sort of substance use. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I just think it's probably very easy to think of really awesome sci-fi scenarios. And I think also that's maybe one of the reasons that you do see a lot of substance use and abuse in sci-fi. Especially in grittier sci-fi. I mean, I don't think you really see that in family sci-fi like Jetsons and shit.
A lot of my favorite writers and a lot of my favorite music have been heavily influenced by
Oh, me too.
Other
definitely.
States of consciousness. So I don't know. Are we talking about at this moment like the future use of psychedelics? But I think what you were kind of getting at is that the digital age and the coming of the machine has been a great leap in technology and has changed society in ways that we would have never saw just a few decades ago.
And as new information has come out about exactly what possibly led to a lot of that, a la learning that these people were using psychedelics, okay, well, maybe we should start using that again collectively and push through that again.
Do we
push
need
through
that?
Into something else?
Do we need that big of a change that quickly?
Fuck it, man. It hasn't completely destroyed us yet. I think that's a really cool thing about human nature. Existential dread is a very easy thing to fall into. I understand that. It's never really gotten me too much. But there really is just something beautiful about the unyielding nature of the human spirit to be faced with the inconsequential, cold, callous, almost doom and gloom of the universe. To be met with such a whimsy from the human spirit and just like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep rocking out, we're gonna keep partying, we're gonna keep doing stupid shit, we're gonna keep blah blah blah, pushing out whatever. I think that's really cool. That's about all you can do. Make the most of it.
I think the human spirit can be very resilient. We've all been faced with, think of the times with the hardships in your life. Think of the most horrible things you've been through in your life, and you made it through it. If you didn't, you wouldn't be listening to this right now. You made it through it.
So congratulations.
If you're going through the most horrible time in your life right now, you'll make it through it. Mm-hmm.
We've seen it. We've been to the future, and it rocks. But you just got to believe in it.
I think it's important, to keep the notion alive that there are different possible futures. That like the future is very malleable where we're going. I think the future just isn't one path. It could go a lot of different ways. I think that's where you get the idea of time streams and
branching time fractals and stuff like that. Now, of course, looking back on it, it's going to be one stream.
Oh, looking back. But you can possibly see where big splits could have been.
Yeah.
You can definitely see that,
Definitely things could have gone one way or another. I'll tell you one right now off the top of my head, Cold War. What if there was nuclear annihilation? We would be living in a completely different world right now. We would be living in the Fallout world. we would be like the people on the news shows in Fallout doing the little broadcast. That would have been our one chance to be coast to coast, man. Hey, it could still
We
happen.
could do a broadcast on high strangeness in the radioactive future, man.
And there'd probably be a lot more high strangeness then. You got like death claws.
I
And
know, that's
shit
what I'm
in
saying.
Fallout.
What kind of shit you gonna talk about?
Yeah. Yeah, we've been talking about doing an episode on cryptids. We
Yeah.
need to do that. That's just a really fun topic. You can really dig in on some great shit with that. So do you have any like prophecies for the future? And it doesn't matter if they come true. Just,
Prophecies or predictions?
both. Fuck it.
You know, this is pretty lame because I get off on this a lot, I suppose. But
Do
it's
it.
because
I already know what you're gonna say.
yeah. I mean,
Fucking AI, dude.
It's obvious that, you know, it's been all over the news for the past month. You know, Chat GPT and everything. I haven't even messed with Chat GPT. I've just read a lot of people's experience with it.
Me neither. I think it costs
And-
money too.
Yeah, it does. But, you know, it's interesting. I think a lot of people can look at it and be like, how is this a threat? You know?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if true sentience is possible with our hardware. You know, do we
Might
need
fry a
do we
server.
need organic hardware in order for there to be true sentience? You know,
No, that's potentially dangerous territory you're talking there.
well, I mean, I'm being realistic. You know, I mean, is do we need some sort of organic hardware? But anyway, yeah, I think a lot of I don't really have a necessarily negative view of the future, but when it comes to things like AI, I've seen way too many movies and read way too many books to know of
War games.
the possibilities of AI. You know, the possibilities of things that could go awry.
Well, AI globalist agenda. I really like AI. I think it's really cool. But I read some really great shit today, and it was people talking about how we always thought that when this intelligence was created, it would take away the menial jobs. It would supply people with a greater freedom to focus towards art and hobbies. Instead, the AI has taken over art. I know a lot of musicians are really upset right now because even as hard as it already was to make music and make money in music, it's now 10 times harder because there's music software out there. Music AI, you can type in a prompt and generate an entire song.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's kind of lame, only a little bit, but it is what it is. And shit, I'm sure there'll be a market for human music, but how are you going to tell it apart? You'll have to play live. And it's like, for me and my music, I can't play live because it's just me. I can't play all that live. I'm sure as hell not going to go on stage and play to a backing
Well, that was something
track.
I was going to point out, to where when it gets to where AI can go on stage and perform shit live, it's already gone way too far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've already got robots that do shit on stage.
They do.
Like holograms.
But they've
and
had that
stuff.
since Chuck E. Cheese. What the fuck?
Fucking Chuck E. Cheese. That's where it really started. That is where it really started, man. Goddamn Chuck E. Cheese. Goddamn shit ass pizza.
Shit-ass
Tokens.
pizza, but they had cool games back then. I mean,
Yeah, I always played a firefighter game.
go for the games. Force yourself to eat the pizza.
Sneer at the animatronics. Think about the future.
Don't turn your back on them.
Yeah, especially not after dark.
Yeah.
I've played one too many horror games based around that in my
Yeah.
misguided youth.
3 days at Chucky's.
3 days at Chuck. It's like being a chaperone on the elementary school field trip. 5 hours at Chucky's. Can you survive?
Yeah, but really, you know, I do see AI. I guess I just see, for real AI, something that's not, you know, the stuff we've got now. It's like, wow, I can generate this
It's
stuff.
peanuts,
You can
man.
like it. I'm talking about, I guess, true sentience.
Mm-hmm.
Like something has to realize that it is what it is. Something there has to realize, has to have a realization. Let's just
So
say
wake
that.
up.
Which is, and I don't know if it's possible, but you know, I think I've seen this, you know, point made so many years ago that you think of think of all of the lines of communication that are open at once in the world and all of this information flowing back and forth. It's like neurons firing, man.
Yeah.
It's like maybe the entire thing has to become sentient. Maybe only at that level of a global network is there enough complexity and things going on to where consciousness can arise, you know?
Yeah, and maybe at this point in time, there's just enough neurons and just enough little axons and shit and nerves going around that something is there. Something is, for lack of a better word,
an
alive.
embryo.
However, it can't think, it can't see, it has no concept of itself yet. But when it does...
How much thinking did we do before we were taught language?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's hard to... There's always images and sensation, tactile sensations that I think, were there, but it didn't become really defined until we applied language to it.
Well, I think one thing that's really cool, even then we had, through years and years of evolution and training, just as a species, we knew how to do certain things as soon as we were born. We knew how to breastfeed. Apparently babies just know how to swim.
Yeah, you just throw them in.
You just throw them in, they'll swim,
Yeah.
they'll float. It's fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I mean,
But how do you forget that?
Yeah,
How do you forget
well,
that and then
that-
have to relearn it when you're like 6?
they're very comfortable in the water when they're infants because they've been in embryonic fluid for...
Yeah, it's not
9
like
months.
a bull in there, though.
But it's just fluid. That's what they feel. They're, I don't know if this is true. This is just what I've read, that there's a correlation between being in the womb and being in the water. Like they feel comfortable, in the water.
Yeah, throw your baby in the pool. Trust us. It'll swim.
No, don't throw your baby in the pool.
Only throw your baby in the pool if there is a certified professional there that specializes with throwing babies in pools. And also, bonus points if they specialize in getting babies out of pools if they're not doing so good in there.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, I always just heard don't throw the baby.
What are your prophecies and predictions?
Yeah, definitely AI. And what I was talking about earlier with art and what's happening now, I think either it ends up very grim and human art is no longer sustainable, nor can it ever hope to accomplish anything compared to what auto-generated art can come up with, which is pretty sad. Or not. I don't know. And honestly, at this point, it's almost harder to envision how that could not come true. But I still got to keep hope alive because fuck it, I've been doing it for quite a few years now, and I'm just like, well, yeah, ignorance is bliss. I'm just not.
Well,
gonna think about
there's
it.
something that you get from it.
Yeah,
There's something that you get from it that
yeah, sure as hell I ain't getting money from it. It's
Well, that's
you
not-
know I'm legit.
that's
If I
point-
was in it for the money, I would have picked a much more lucrative genre than avant-garde progressive metal.
but that's just what comes out of you.
Mm-hmm.
It's an art, and sad to say, most artists don't make a living at it.
It is kind of cool in the sense that now anybody can play a part in the creation of music. And it could be anybody. You don't even have to know anything about music. Or you could be somebody that once played a lot of music, and for whatever reason you can no longer play your instrument. And now you can type in, all right, how about smooth, sexy jazz at 55 BPM? And it generates it, and you're like, all right, fuck yeah.
You should be able to. I don't know if it's this far yet. You should be able to set as many parameters as you want, and kind of direct the direction it goes. You can. I don't know. I haven't messed with it. I'm just thinking hypothetically of how this works, and I think I understand how it works. But like I said.
Yeah, and well, especially with AI right now, the more parameters you give it, the more chance you run into of the AI just shitting itself and being like doing weird shit. When I was a lot younger, I thought the future of music production would be something you interface with your
mind.
brain,
Yeah.
and as soon as you think it up, it's recorded.
You hear it. Just listen to music in your head, and it's recorded.
Sadly, we went in the other direction, but oh well. Oh well, man.
I don't know. I mean, are there AI albums out? I don't know. I mean, maybe
not
there is.
not really, as far as I can tell, but there definitely is. There definitely is background music that has been generated by an AI, which definitely does take quite a big chunk of money for budding musicians, because now it's no longer profitable or even notable to make background music for anything or to make ambience unless you really have an idea like, all right, I want it to sound exactly like this. It is very quickly being taken over, and it's only a matter of time until it comes to progressive metal too. And I always thought the future would be metal.
What do AI vocals sound like?
Apparently real uncanny valley. You know what the uncanny valley is?
No.
Well, it's good you don't, because now I have a chance to explain it for the listeners who also might not know what it is. It is a certain point where human and non-human, there's a gray area. And shit in that gray area looks real freaky. It's why in certain games, before people really got to mapping out what the human face looked like, and in certain animation, the humans look really freaky. People say it's one of the reasons that clowns look so freaky to people, mimes, because it's almost human. It's close to human, but it's not quite, which is freaky, because I've also seen it pointed out that people also apparently have this reaction to judging or to getting a sense of danger from things that look human but aren't human, and that's pretty freaky.
And why would we have that?
Yeah, why would we have that? Now, I've also seen it said that was probably a way for our body to try and preserve itself if you saw someone with leprosy, but I'm not really entirely sure about that.
I call bullshit on that one.
What about the leprosy thing? Yeah, I mean, shit, it's possible. What were we even talking about? How did we get on the subject of the uncanny? Oh, yeah, AI voices. Yeah, I've heard it sounds kind of like that, like the audio equivalent to that. Like it's not quite human, not quite English. Like those videos where it's English, what English sounds like to non-English speakers.
Well, when we're talking here, and we've talked a lot about AI, everything we've sort of pointed out is very dystopian, you know, and we've and even in our culture, like the beginning days of sci-fi, everything was really utopian. Like, wow, in the future we'll be flying around in cars. We'll be flying everywhere. We'll be reaching the stars. We'll have spaceships.
There'll be
we'll
no
be going
poverty.
to the moon on vacation. You know, yeah, no poverty. You know, things like that.
We'll be making love to aliens.
Lately, most of the sci-fi stuff I've seen has been very dystopian. Even if it's utopian, it might seem to be utopian, but there's some dark undercurrent that's going on that makes it really dystopian, and that's a mainstay of sci-fi lately, I think.
Yeah, isn't it kind of sad that, does that say something about our current society, that a lot of the sci-fi and fiction about the future that comes out of it is very bleak now?
Well, it's interesting that sci-fi has really only been really prolific since 1940s, 1950s.
It was like the golden age, right?
Less than 100 years, and our outlook for the future has kind of taken a big turn, you know?
Mm-hmm. We're like taking a big turd.
So, but, you know, the more utopian ideas of the future are technology always seemed to be something that was very helpful to man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the beginnings of sci-fi, it was just taking our current technological trends at the time and following this progression through time. Well, and by the time we really harness the potential of this invention, this machine, it'll change society, you know? But yeah, technology was always seen as portrayed as a good thing, really, in old sci-fi. Now, you know, it's, I don't know, things are just different. And even the people in the older sci-fi stuff were more, I don't want to say jovial. They weren't jovial. They were more upbeat.
Yeah.
You know, you had these heroes like Buck Rogers and, you know, I mean, hell, look at Flash Gordon.
Build the Galactic Hero.
Build the Galactic Hero. There you go,
You
But
know
yeah,
what really did it to us?
What?
Whoever the fuck came up with Warhammer 40K. That's what really did this shit to us. Everybody boycott Warhammer. Don't do that. Don't do that. Warhammer's pretty cool.
Everybody was going to boycott D&D, but apparently
apparently they did some shit that's not very cool.
Well, they actually backed off that whole thing. It
Really?
was so uncool and it was so unpopular with the fans that I think they just reworked the entire,
Yeah, I think it's really cool when companies and stuff actually listen to their fans. That's something we really don't get a lot of, because there are so many times where a certain company or anything has done something with an IP and the fans the whole ride through are like, no, don't do that. And then they do that and the fans are like, why did you do that? That sucks. And there you go. That's why. We've been saying it the whole time. It's like, did you see Netflix when they just announced that password sharing crackdown would begin? The stipulation was you would have to log in on your home Wi-Fi with the device that you watch Netflix on once a month, or else you'd be charged extra for it, or the owner of the account. And I'm assuming the backlash to that was so big that Netflix said that they accidentally released and they weren't actually serious about it.
They said
I think that's the second time Netflix has said that shit about, whoops.
They actually said that those were the rules, not rules. Those were the
terms.
The term. Those were the terms for maybe some of the U.S. territories, like the Virgin Islands and somewhere else. And then it wasn't meant for the U.S., the United States proper. Is actually what they said. They, but it's cool, even though I think that's completely bullshit.
Yeah, man. Can I just say, like,
it's cool that they did respond in a way. It's like, okay, people really don't like this, so let's,
Dude, Netflix sucks. They really do.
Why?
They were cool, and I get that they were kind of a pioneer in the streaming age, but they've just done some really stupid shit. And I'm a little salty still that they canceled one of my favorite shows to ever come out of that shit storm of a streaming service. Mindhunter fucking rocked. Okay, they kind of canceled BoJack, and we got a really short, a really fast-paced last season of BoJack, but, BoJack turned out great. But you're telling me that you canceled all these great shows, and you still got room for fucking Big Mouth? I don't buy that shit. Big Mouth is so fucking terrible. I absolutely hate it. I don't hate it. I'm kind of embellishing that a little bit. I don't like Big Mouth, but for the sake of making this an emotionally driven rant I'm going on, I gotta say, fuck Big Mouth. If you listen to Big Mouth, I'm gonna fight you. No, I'm not gonna do that. But I just think it's sad, and there's so many things that streaming services do now that are just very charged, but obviously by monetary or social quick fixes, quick cash grabs, popularity grab stuff.
I really, I don't want to sound like one thing that annoys me. I don't want to sound like a
boomer.
I guess I don't want to sound like one of those people that's always down on diversity and stuff. I'm all for diversity, but I hate it when you see television shows and stuff try to conform so quickly to some social thing that's going on that it's like, okay, it's kind of insulting that you're pushing this so hard. It's kind of like,
exactly
it annoys me. I don't want to be one of those people that's like, bitching about like The Last of Us, that third episode. Just because, it's this. I just want to say, it was a beautiful episode.
Yeah. Well, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Because I always want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think a big issue is a lot of times these services and people with high status in pop culture can really shoot for these things and just miss the point entirely. Just miss it and then pat themselves on the back for how good of a job they did.
Yeah.
But holy shit. So I've been watching The Last of Us here recently on HBO Max. It's on episode 3 at the time of recording this. It came out this past Monday or Sunday, and holy shit, if that is not possibly the best, definitely the best video game adaptation I've ever watched, and possibly the best post-apocalyptic zombie type of series I've ever watched. I'm a massive fan of both the games, and God, they've really just done a great job with it. I really like it. But there was a lot of backlash for that third episode, which I liked, and I thought they did a great job with it. I would have rather that they stuck with how it's played out in the game, and adapted maybe this whole story between the characters around what's happening in that segment in the game. And I'm trying not to spoil anything, so that might sound very confusing, but there's certain liberties they took, which they had every right to, with the source material that they executed flawlessly. But I really was like, damn, there's a couple things I just really want to see there.
The thing that annoyed me about the third episode, and I thought it was really well written. It was very touching.
It was well acted, man. I almost cried.
It was. It really was. But did it do much to further the story? I wouldn't have mind seeing like that story, but it more entwined or just told in short bits in between what was going on, leading up to Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
Leading up to Joel and Ellie's journey to get to Frank's,
Bill's.
To Bill's, to get to Bill's.
Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, I guess not. But I would have just liked to have seen it kind of
portrayed more with the main story.
Yes, portrayed more with the main story to where you understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really great. I completely forgot what the hell I was gonna say. Damn, I had a little bit of a point I was wanting to make, but it kind of just fell out of my brain onto the floor, man.
Yeah.
But I really think the whole concept of this fungus type of infection, as seen in The Last of Us, is really fucking cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really. I remember what I was gonna say now. Okay, so so that episode didn't have a lot to do with the main character's journey. However, I think it's a great microcosm.
Well, you've played through the game, so
I'm familiar with the whole story. I think it's a great microcosm for what The Last of Us is about, which it is a post-apocalyptic horror, survival horror, action type of game, but the story at its heart is a love story. And that's just, I think it was a really great job.
Like I called it Brokeback Fallout.
Brokeback Fallout, yeah.
I mean,
that was great. It was.
I mean,
I would say it was just as sad as Brokeback.
Yeah.
Maybe not because
not as sad.
I don't want to spoil anything. I don't. Yeah. I was getting real close, but yeah, just because that's so fresh. But if you are a fan of the games and if you're a fan of post-apocalyptic stuff, definitely check out The Last of Us on HBO Max. It really kind of fucking rocks. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the episodes.
We talk about the future, and this is something pretty cool. We can talk about the future, and the things that we say is like a lot of things you can see happening within the next few 100 to 500 years.
Oh, are you wanting to go way far?
No,
out?
I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff to be said. Well, what's the future? What's it going to be like in the year 40,000? That's what's it going to be like that far in the future? What's it going to be like when humanity's civilization's been around
40,000?
for tens of thousands of years?
Radio silence. I don't know, man. That's a long ass way. So, quite literally, so much could happen in that time frame that it's absurd. Alien Astronauts will be back after a short break. So we just got back, and there's something I've been really wanting to ask, and I've been sitting on it for a little bit, and I think it's a great way to kind of wrap up this future discussion. Let's just get into a discussion of what do you want from the future? And it might not even just be for you. You can talk short term, long term, whatever. You can talk multiple.
I would like brighter colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, brighter colors. This wise man I once knew, I asked him what he wanted the afterlife, what he wanted in the afterlife, and he said, "I'd really like brighter colors." And I was like, "I like that.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's nice. It's such a small thing, but it's really profound. When you think about it.
It is.
Like, wow, colors are really nice.
Yeah. I think what I would like to see in the future is more harmony between men, and honestly, and that seems like a very I don't know what word to use to describe it. It seems like it seems impossible, to conflict between men. But I really think, and this comes from this is a really spiritual thing for me. But I think in order to end conflict man has to face the conflict within the subconscious, the internal conflict, it's something we have to evolve psychologically. We have to
I think you gotta love yourself first.
Yeah.
Inside, you have to love yourself first to really just open that up.
Shit, and you're the hardest person to love, man. Yeah. Of all the people I know, I'm the hardest one to love. I'm like, because I know myself. I know. Yeah. People think Doc's a nice dude, and but I know Doc, and I know that Doc has things that aren't so nice about him, things that Doc would like to say to you, things that Doc so
when you reach that point where you're just like, fuck it all,
yeah,
fuck you,
exactly,
fuck everybody, fuck this,
exactly,
fuck that.
Yeah, we all have an inside knowledge of ourselves that makes us hard to love to ourselves.
Maybe that's why we keep a lot of our internal aspects, a lot of our aspirations and who we are inside secret, because we think it makes us harder to love. And maybe it does. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could.
I think a lot of the experience we have with other people has a lot to do with it's a lot with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You've often heard it said that the people that annoy you the most are the people that are most like you. People that, yeah.
I've definitely heard that a lot. Is that true?
I don't know.
Is that true?
Some of the people that annoy me the most, honestly, are people that don't know when to stop talking to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those people that, they're even nice people, but when you just say hi to them, if you're not careful, you'll get in a 30-minute discussion.
Yeah, that's something I've been working on in myself a lot. At work, I spend a lot of time in a team-based environment. And so there's a lot of time for chit-chat while we're doing our jobs. And previously, I would really get almost frustrated when people would just keep talking to me. Unless it was like a really good friend of mine. But here recently, I've just been really trying to give myself completely to what they're saying and listen to them. And it's not a very easy thing to do, but it really feels good when someone's telling you about something and you just really give yourself to it and be exactly what they want to get from that conversation.
Well, give them the attention that you would want,
Mm-hmm.
And that's I enjoy being able to do that too. But sometimes when you work in a high-paced, you've got something you're doing, it's very imperative that you do it in a certain time frame, and you get
as efficiently as you can.
And then you get caught talking to someone for
I think I might have derailed us a little bit from the future thing.
Maybe you did. Maybe I did.
Fuck it, man. It's time. You know what?
Well, we can cut. But you know what we want from the future? It all started with saying I'd like to see a little more harmony between humans.
Mm-hmm.
Between what do you even say now? Between nations, or is it? It's not even nations. There's a lot of disharmony next door. There's a
Yeah.
lot of disharmony in our neighborhoods and things. It's like,
Until we can fix the disharmony that is happening in our neighborhoods, until we can really learn to love thy neighbor, there's not a lot of hope for the world on a big picture.
yeah.
That change has to really come from within the individual
But
and spread.
that is something that, and that makes me wonder about the digital age, about the age we live in now. It has made us less connected to our neighbors. It's interesting.
Less connected to our neighbors, yet more connected to people way far out that we would have never met. Likely.
That's true.
It's a really nice thing. So is that that's what you want from the future? It's harmony and stuff. What about like
What I want,
after that? After you get that harmony, what do you really want?
what I really want for the future. Love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give us some loving.
Yeah. I mean,
Spread that love
For-
in people. We know you got it. We know you got
on
some
a-
love.
I
Give
guess
give it-
on a global scale is great, but even on a personal level, just yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really damn close to what I was gonna say. And I think, in terms of the future, for me, I spend so much of my free time fantasizing about how life can go perfect for the people around me and my friends and my family. How life can just fantasizing about all these opportunities that these people could end up in. And really, I just want more than anything from the future, short term, long term, however you want to spin it. I just want people to get what they want out of life. And as hard as that may sound, it's just one of those things that I just really want people to have a good life. And sometimes I neglect to allow myself that. And maybe that's something I need to work on. But also, in an almost selfish way, I want to have meant something to somebody in the same way that the artists and the people that I look up to and inspire me. I want to be there. I want to be that for somebody because I know what it's like. I've known my entire life what it's like to be that weird kid in school, that weird dude at work, that one friend that's just all about your musical heroes and what they've done because they've touched your mind and your heart in such a way that you can't help but be overwhelmed by it. And I just want more than anything to be that to somebody, to keep that going, to keep that spreading. And maybe that's a really selfish thing to really want that. Maybe it is. I don't know. And I could try and say it's selfless because I want somebody to feel the way that I have felt. But really, I think that might be kind of selfish of me. But if I can just live life and know that one person that I've really had an impact on them, that would really mean more than I could ever possibly put into words to me. And from the future then on, after that, after I die, after everybody who would ever remember me or know my name or that I even existed died. Because, I mean, what is this? I have not even a century, most likely, to live here. How will anybody ever know that I lived if I don't do something? If I don't have the time to, if I don't find that time and that courage within myself. And so more than anything on a long scale, I just want people to be happy. And I want people to feel love and to give that love willingly and just be happy. And it's crazy that really seems like almost too much to ask for these days. And it seems like from the future, and as we were talking about a lot of our modern future being dystopian as all hell, is what the hell does it even mean to be modern? What does it even mean to have an idea about the future if that idea is completely governed by the fact that life kind of is a little bit shitty right now. That it's very hard to remain hopeful for the future. And it's sad. It's sad that we've come to a point where even the youth, and fuck it, I'm 21. I'll lump myself in with the youth real quick for a little bit. That even we can't have a glimpse of what other people had at this time in their life, when the world maybe wasn't such a dark and dreadful and violent and hate-filled place.
Well, I have to interject something.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
You know, I've thought long and hard on these things you're talking about, and I've thought longer on them than you. You know, and you know, I've kind of come to the conclusion, especially after, I don't know, this is when I grew up, I spent a lot of time around my elders. I spent a lot of time around grandparents and great grandparents, and you know, I hate to say it, but you know, material wise and stuff, dude, people, things are getting better. Like, I don't have to work myself to death for 12 hours a day all week long for just enough to buy some flour, a bottle of whiskey, and some gas. You know, like, so things are getting better, you know. I know a lot of people that worked in factories their whole lives and retired. And now those same factories are air conditioned. They have, you know, things.
They have actual safety regulations.
They have actual safety regulations. You know, I see a lot of machine operators that really don't do a lot of physical labor.
Thank you, OSHA. Please don't come do an inspection. Promise, it's by the book.
It's by the book. Safety meetings and all. You're talking about on a personal, you got on a much more personal level than me, like what I want for my future.
I couldn't help it. I got a little bit emotional.
I guess I say, you know, like, you know, it's still love. Or, you know, as far as a legacy, I really don't. I mean, everybody's forgotten eventually. Everybody, you know. And I think to me, I've learned that sometimes the people around you are the ones you can make a real connection with, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'd like to think that everyone that's ever died that I've known, I was at peace with that person, you know? And that when I die, I'll be at peace with everyone else, you know? Like, we both talked about personal happiness and like, you know, we can talk about society in general, what it would take for, I think our dreams or our aspirations for the future and what we want to see for humanity as a whole are kind of the same, you know? So, what about Thelema or Thelema? What about the law of Thelema? What about do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law?
And the law was love. Love under will.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm just saying a lot of people, you know, the whole Crowley thing aside, like his personality and character, I think have nothing to do with his genius of certain things. And, yeah.
Yeah.
And that, you know, if the world could operate by the law of Thelema, then would it not be a utopian world where you could do what you want, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's love, man. Yeah, and that's something I think a lot of people really get caught up on.
Well,
you can say Crowley, and for a lot of people that's almost a boogeyman type of thing. I think if you really
think not so much anymore. I think he used to be more so, but I think...
Well, I know used to. You say Aleister Crowley, it's like you just said Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
And Helter
God,
Skelter.
that's absolutely horrible connection.
That's nasty.
That is nasty, man.
But it's, you know...
I just think...
You know, in a time like this, in this discussion, you know what I'm reminded of? You know that Roger Waters album?
I'm Used to Death?
No, great album though, Radio Chaos.
Radio Chaos, yeah.
The last song.
Ooh, the tide is turning. Yeah.
That's kind of that's really nice. That's a really great song. Maybe what we should really hope for is in the future, education is like it is in The Last Mimsy. You remember that? You remember that movie? You remember in the future segments when there is the class
Yeah.
and stuff? That's really pretty. That's really nice.
Yeah.
I want to watch that movie again.
That's
I
a
used to
great
not
movie.
like it, but
You know
I
who
think I
did
appreciate it now.
a song on that movie?
Who?
They did a song.
Halloween, dude.
No, they did a song for that movie.
Was it Raj?
Yeah, it was Raj.
Wow. That's great, man. What a nice little synchronicity there. But you know what else is synchronicity? The Police album.
It is. It is synchronicity. But you know what's weird?
What?
Synchronicity 2 is the best song on the album.
Synchronicity 2, which
Yes.
is also a synchronicity 2, as in as well. Did we just uncover something? I don't know, man.
I don't know, but I'd just say, fuck the Police. I love the Police. You know, I never got to see the Police.
Oh, you're talking about the band.
What are you talking about?
Whoa.
What are you talking about?
Paw Patrol, man. Fuck Paw Patrol, dude.
Yeah.
That shit's not real. What the fuck are they teaching our kids? The dogs are firefighters? What the fuck? Wow, man. I think I'm about gassed on all the topics that I had. I'm gonna cross out my last little one here.
I don't really have many topics.
Me neither. We had some topics for the last time we recorded, maybe like 30 minutes. And then here recently, today, not recently, we were just like, fuck it. We remember most of our topics from last time, so we'll just wing it again.
So what future do you want as far as in media? As far as in media is movies, literature, anything.
People
Yes.
are at liberty to survive and just make art.
You have to tell me the movie or book.
Oh, I have to tell you
Yeah.
the movie?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's got to be like what
Jetsons.
Jetsons?
Yeah, is that a good future?
It seems. I mean, by standards then and standards today, somewhat it's kind of utopian, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Oh,
about
man.
you? What's a good movie? No, not the Jetsons. You know what my ideal future is?
What?
The future from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That was a good
All Bill and
future.
Ted's. The future is be excellent to each other and party on, dudes. And you know what? That's kind of like my personal mantra in a sense. Be excellent to each other and party on, dude.
I don't know. In portrayals and depictions of the future in I've read so much and seen so many movies, man. It's difficult.
Star Trek.
I mean, I like the Star Trek future. I mean, for what the Earth seems to be like, you get more of that in the subsequent series after the core Star Trek stuff, but it seems very sterile to me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm
there's
saying?
not a lot of
It's-
the nitty gritty.
I guess.
You don't
yeah.
got that Sputnik stand feature. You
Yeah,
just
you
got that
don't.
really
It's
polished,
not
like
nitty-gritty.
fit for TV
Yeah.
future. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that completely. Yeah. Shit, man. I'm gonna go ahead and plug in some stuff, just some business stuff I want to take care of. Business, whatever. So we are wanting to get an RSS feed here soon. I think that's what it's called. That is something that will allow us to broadcast through podcasting platforms, podcast apps, Spotify, whatever the hell you name it. We're probably going to end up on there eventually. We're not going to do it within the next couple of episodes, but hopefully we will eventually. Of course, we're going to improve a lot. We still don't necessarily know exactly what we're doing, but we're having a lot of fun with this. And once again, if you have any topics whatsoever, type them in the comments, tell us stuff, and we will write it down. Now, your homework as a listener, tell us, what is your ideal future? Don't be shy. If you say your ideal future is Warhammer 40K, that's pretty bleak, but hey, good for you, because
We
at least
always
you
come
go.
back to 40K for bleak.
We do.
For
We're gonna
bleakness.
have to do a 40K.
For bleakness, it's just
We're
like
gonna have
the
we're gonna have
most-
to have a guest on that knows about 40K to really teach us about it.
It's like the most gruesome future in which humanity actually survives and thrives and thrives.
I don't know about thrives.
Well, I mean,
yeah, man. So we got a lot planned for the future. We got multiple episodes that we've been really talking about being in the works, and we're gonna have Dr. Phil on as a guest. We're in touch with multiple people. We went to the future, and we're gonna try and bring somebody back eventually from the future to talk, because, like we said, no spoilers, but the future absolutely rocks. You're gonna love it, and
are there aliens in the future?
Well,
Find out next
alien
time.
astronauts in the future. Find out next time on Alien Astronauts. But before that, Doc, do you have anything that you would like to say or touch on before we close this out?
Man, you always do this to me, and I'm always caught off guard.
Yeah.
How do you surprise me every time?
It's coming, man.
I don't think so. Yeah, Coast to Coast, Vault, the Weaponized Podcast, and Enslaved.
Yeah, and Roger Waters.
Really
Touched on that.
Yeah.
I'd also like to add, if you are at all a fan of this show, then you gotta check out Live from Chapel Perilous with Leroy and Maz. That is my personal favorite podcast.
My
I want them to
personal
do another
favorite, too.
episode. You wanna cite your other podcast you like a lot?
Breakfast in the Ruins.
Yeah.
Breakfast in the Ruins. Yeah, it's a great Michael Moorcock flavored podcast, as Andy likes to call it now. But yeah, it is Michael Moorcock flavored. It kind of revolves around him as a writer and his influences on music, gaming,
Definitely literature.
Definitely literature.
And also, like
lots
us,
of movies.
they drink weird beer.
They do drink weird beer.
Yeah.
They drink weirder beer than we do.
Yeah, we're not really about getting that PB&J flavored shit, you know, about as far out as we've
They
gotten.
seem to have the ability to buy lots of singles. They seem to have the ability, we have to get like at least stuff.
No, dude, see, if we want to get a podcast beer, we really have to commit to spending $12 on some shit, and that's like the emergency
And that's
drinking
like
beer.
4 pints.
We could have hated this. I actually think it's really great. So shout
It's
out
not
once
bad.
again. BRD, beer ready to drink, soldier. All right, man. Yeah, I'm out, dude. Take it easy, you guys. Leave a comment. Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your boss at work. Say, listen to this. And stay tuned until next time. And we'll see what's what.
And tell your mom you love her.
Tell your mom you love her. By God, do it. Tell everybody you love them. Bye. Oh, wait. We love you. Bye. By the time episode 400 rolls around, we'll be much better at staying on top of this stuff. Who knows, man? Maybe in the distant
Could
future.
be the alien astronauts experience.
Yeah. We should
Doc
start.
and Sid.
We should start jamming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mean
Alien astronauts jam sessions.
Hey, we should, man.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be.
But we could just do little tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could just do little tracks you use as background music.
Yeah, well, I was like,
Yeah,
we were
like,
talking, I
it's
told
like-
you, so I've done a lot of background stuff, but I haven't been able to for the past couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But I'd definitely be dude, if you record it, I know you fuck around a lot with the synth and stuff. If you ever want to do some synth stuff and send it my way,
I know. I started
Maybe an
doing
episode.
some.
I'll put it down in the description if there ends up being something by.
I could do some guitar stuff. If it was just
I don't know about
really
that in the background.
like Sun, like
Sun-O type of
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
just
I
like
can see that.
really,
I can definitely see that. Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, that was a good episode, dude. I mean, shit, for as little planning as we did, I think we really covered some really
Yeah,
some cool
I
shit
just
with
like
that.
doing that. I just like getting together, just and talking about,
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is really fun.
And we can start doing them just like this, dude. Just like,
Just talking about shit.
yeah, just talking. Just be like, what'd you do this week? What'd you read about? What
Well,
do you see going on in the
I
world?
think that's cool when the listener knows us enough as people to think like, okay, I'm interested in what
Yeah.
Doc and Sid have to say. Otherwise, they could end up like, the fuck are these schmoes? Like, why
How
do
are
I
they gonna
care?
know
Yeah.
if they're interested if we don't tell them?
Yeah. Far out. Hell yeah.